Now, with the dust still settling from the government shutdown, Washington is locked in on politics.
From economic policy and Congress's next move to new controversies driving today's headlines. Joining us now to discuss, Madeline Somerville is a Democrat strategist and trial attorney. Also joining us is Project 21 ambassador Evie Harris. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So President Trump made some waves yesterday at McDonald's National Impact Summit, addressing key stakeholders, focusing on everyday Americans and fast food.
As you may have heard, I'm also one of your all-time most loyal customers. I really am. Well, I think that's good. I'm pretty sure that's good. While other politicians fly around on campaign planes stocked with expensive catering, on Trump Force One, prior to ascending to Air Force One, which is quite a nice plane also, we served only McDonald's almost every time. On occasion, we couldn't find one, which is pretty hard to believe. We'd go another route, but we really did. You fed us very well, and I even got Bobby Kennedy to eat a Big Mac.
I'll never forget that picture, Evie. There it is, that famous picture of RFK Jr. diving into that juicy Big Mac on Air Force One. The president used the summit, though, to push affordability and tax cuts, while in this instance joking about his eating habits. Evie, is this effective economic messaging?
Yes, absolutely is. Let me tell you why. President Trump is basically a man of the people. Most Americans, millions of us have had McDonald's food, fortunately or unfortunately, but President Trump can identify with the regular American, and that's who he speaks to, that's who he understands best, and they understand him. Going to McDonald's is quintessential American. So yes, this is effective because real Americans, everyday Americans, understand one thing. They understand what's in their pockets, what they can afford and what they can't afford. And they would like to be able to afford more, considering as much taxes that are taken out of their checks. Americans can understand this, yes.
Yeah. You know, Madeline, the thing is that President Trump, and we all know those apple pies at McDonald's are awesome. He wants to make sure that people can actually have the American pie and put some ice cream, a la mode, on top of it. Take part of the American dream. So whether it's McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, he's going into these national brands, you know, the stores and restaurants that people enjoy every day. He's making an extreme connection. So that's why when he brings in his economic agenda and he's talking directly to the American people with regard to what he wants to do for them. What say you?
Yeah, I think everyone has been right so far who's commented on this. I think it's extremely effective messaging. One of the quotes that he had from yesterday was a stat that 1 out of every 8 Americans actually will work at a McDonald's at some point in their life, which I think is fascinating. I know that they have a lot of really great scholarship programs, which is super cool. Regardless of what you think of their food, this is incredible messaging for him, especially when it comes at a time when people are discussing affordability. I thought it was really interesting that during his speech yesterday, he refused to say the word affordability. As somebody who works in messaging, I think it's really interesting because I think what he's planning to do is to take that word and flip it, right? Pick his own word that means the same thing. He's been rolling back tariffs and the policies and procedures that he's been working on the last couple of days. We'll see what happens, but he's trying to make a turnaround here, and I think this is working.
Madeline, I want to stick with you for just a second. So there's some new reporting highlighting procedural missteps in the Comey investigation that could have legal and political ramifications for ongoing cases. So from your legal perspective here, how significant are these errors and could they affect future prosecutions?
Yeah, so I did a little bit of research on this case, and it's extremely interesting. This is the kind of case that you almost never see. First of all judges are required to give deference to the executive branch. So anyone who's challenging them, right, is at a disadvantage automatically because you're supposed to assign credibility to the executive branch. And nevertheless, still, the executive branch, in this case, the DOJ, is in trouble for the missteps that they've made, as you said, procedurally. We don't know exactly what all of those are, but according to the judge, they were part of them related to the evidence that was presented in the grand jury indictment and the kinds of things that either were fabricated or that shouldn't have been there in the first place. There have also been recent judges who have said that Trump officials were lying in their affidavits when they were talking about protesters with ICE. And so this is a really bad look for the Trump administration when you're talking about being honest with judges and honest with your prosecutions and going against your political enemies. I think it's a huge blow.
Evie, if Comey gets off on this technicality or anyone else, the American people are going to go, woo, they're going to go ballistic. Why? Because they want to see justice. They see a laundry list of different things that Comey said and did, and they want to make sure that not only he actually receives, in terms of what he deserves, but all the other people from the intelligence community behind him that may actually end up being indicted, they actually serve justice too. What say you?
I think the American people will rightfully be upset if he gets off, and I'll tell you why. James Comey has been directly or indirectly related or associated with from the Russiagate collusion. We still have not had full, if you will, full openness, transparency on this collusion. Thank you for Tulsi Gabbard coming out and giving us the DNI reports. But James Comey, because of his FBI and how he ran it, they owe the American people the truth. And I believe, my opinion, my never to be humble opinion, is that James Comey should be prosecuted. This is a long string. Maybe it's coming to an end, maybe it's winding down. But since Donald Trump came down that gold escalator in 2015, they have been after him. The FBI, the deep swamp. The swamp is deep, and we need to clean it out as much as we can. James Comey should be prosecuted.
Yeah, and if he does get off based on a technicality, it will just again highlight the two-tier justice system that we have come to know so well. But turning to this, the shutdown impacted government services nationwide, as we all know, but Education Secretary Linda McMahon is making a bold argument about Washington's role in education.
The Democrats kept the government shut down for 43 days. Flights were delayed. SNAP benefits ran dry, but one major component of life for American families went virtually unaffected: education. The Federal Department of Education furloughed 90% of its staff. And what happened? Nothing. Schools stayed open. Students went to class. Teachers got paid. The shutdown proved our schools don't depend on Washington bureaucracy to function.
Interesting argument, Madeline, that we don't need bureaucracy to function. Your reaction?
Yeah, so this is an argument that has come from the right for a long time, at least since Reagan. And I've got no problem with mixing things up and reducing the sizes of things. The only problem that I have with this, which is always my problem, or consistently my problem with things that come from the Trump administration, is the messaging, right? If you think you can get away with having fewer people and still having the same functions, great. But the messaging has been return education back to the states. The local school boards are already the ones that decide the curriculums. So it bothers me that it's being sold to the American people as we're sending education back to the states as if they don't already have the power. And I think the implication there is that there's some sort of woke curriculum that's coming from the federal government, which is not true. So I'm happy and fine with whatever they want to do for organizational purposes, but I just want people to know the truth.
You know, Evie, when I was a executive on Wall Street, many managers, let's say they wanted to backfill certain positions. And I'm like, wait a second. You've been going this long, let's say 6 months, without that headcount. Guess what? You can get it done without filling that role. And that's what we're seeing right here with the American people's money paying for these jobs just to actually fill seats and push paper, create inefficiencies when it needs to actually go directly to the state. So why they can produce better quality education, better outcomes for everyone, no matter what you look like and no matter what color or ethnicity you are. That makes common sense. What say you?
Let me say this to Madeline. I am one of those people who have long advocated to make the government smaller. I'm going to quote Dennis Prager: the bigger the government, the smaller the people. And let me say this: our U.S. Department of Education is a bureaucracy or bureaucratic boondoggle, as are many other agencies in our government, particularly at the national level. And to Madeline's point, if the states are already able to and have the power to do it, then why do we need the U.S. Department of Education? Americans pay on average about $15,000 to $20,000, give or take, depending on your locality, per student, per pupil student. And yet we still have, at best, mixed results educationally from the American education system. This is abysmal. This is atrocious. This is at least money that, again, can go back into Americans' pockets. American parents can be able to decide where they want to send their children to school, and we can get rid of much of this bureaucracy. We're not getting, again, a bang for our buck. Certainly our children are not, because our educational scores nationally and even internationally are not showing excellent results.
Yeah.
Exactly. I could not have said it better. Madeline and Evie, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you for having me.
Thanks.